welcome back to For the Girls. In the same vein, we're also going to be giving you guys a little deep dive into the money, the business, the sponsorships, all of the glitz and glam behind F1. So with that, I'm Chessa.
I'm Tiggy.
And I'm Sarah.
So speaking of money, let's get into our special segment. We are talking all about money and sponsorships. And it's no secret the Formula One is a luxury sport between the cars, the celebs, the jet setting. Money is everywhere. And not unlike other major sports, this is a serious business venture with some of the highest paid athletes and flashiest sponsorships in the world. Crypto.com, we're looking at you.
And we're giving too much credit to Crypto.com.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's just talk about the sport more broadly. So since the advent of Drive to Survive, it really does seem like money's at the forefront of any F1 conversation these days. With these massive untapped markets, right, namely in the United States, F1 is a cash cow that everyone wants in on. Let's put some numbers on it to make people's jaw drop. So in 2021, revenue was up 87% to $2.14 billion, while F1's cumulative broadcast audience topped 1.5 billion people. So more races equals more money, as always. So to really put this into perspective, when Formula One canceled the 2022 Russian GP and that contract with the event promoter was canceled, it cost F1 over $50 million. So there's just a lot of money to be had here. Everyone's really trying to capitalize on it. It's also not just money for like F1 and the teams in general. There's also a media and broadcasting grab happening right now with ESPN trying to lock down the rights for future races, and then Netflix reportedly hinting at a surprise bid for the rights. So a lot of people would definitely want in.
I think it's also good to note here that a lot of this can also be kind of tied to Liberty Media buying F1, and they are kind of really a business-driven media company. And so a lot of this aligns with them trying to expand in America. And now the Vegas paddock land is costing $240 million. So big spenders. In terms of the teams are really run like well-oiled business machines. Principals and their finance sidekicks are constantly crunching the numbers. So we've already talked about some of the cost caps this year for the teams. They're about $140 million. And it's important to remember that the cost cap is mostly just for car development and operations and upgrades during the season. So teams can spend millions and millions of more dollars more than that. So for example, driver salaries and marketing isn't even included in the cost cap, and Max and Lewis's salaries alone are $50 million. So the cost cap is really just the tip of the iceberg. Most teams, except the top teams, really just break even. If you think about the cost of research and development, the logistics, which we got into last episode, which are insane, plus the driver and the team salaries. With that being said, team funding mostly comes from sponsorships, payments from Formula One, pay drivers, and then also manufacturers.
So to help with funding, the teams turn to sponsorships. The teams will typically have a title sponsor and then a bunch of other corporate and technology sponsors and partnerships. Really, as many fit on the car in the driver's kit. I think Alpine has over 30, which is crazy.
I literally read the list. I counted one by one. It's insane.
The title sponsorship costs range based on the strength and the airtime a team gets, but they can range anywhere from 20 to 50 million euros typically. Big corporate names like Oracle, Aramco, all those types of big companies and conglomerates. Each team negotiates these deals individually based on the exposure a company is looking for and also the time the car is shown on TV or social media. Of course, this favors the larger and winning teams, so it's kind of like the rich get richer. And fun fact for all you crypto gods out there, this year, 8 out of 10 teams entered the 2022 season with some sort of crypto or NFT deal, which is insane. Red Bull with Bybit is allegedly 150 million, AlphaTauri and Phantom, and of course, Crypto.com paid 100 million to be the official sprint event partner for F1.
This also really goes to show, too, why it's a big draw for teams to have charismatic drivers, because if your team's not that great, you're not getting that much airtime on TV. If
so true.
The media coverage and social media is really hyping up and giving almost free coverage to a different driver. I think Daniel Ricciardo is a really good example of this with the amount of airtime he gets in the United States. that can also be a huge draw.
Yeah, speaking of Daniel Ricciardo, merchandise, the teams also have suppliers for gears and really can actually make a lot of money from their merch. That $50 tie-dye Mercedes hat had a brief chokehold on me. I was ready to pull the trigger.
You didn't,
I'm
Chesla?
surprised you didn't.
Yeah.
You really, really wanted it. The purple
I was
hat.
so ready. Yeah, it was really sexy. Anyways, maybe another day. So to wrap it up, what do the sponsors get out of this? It seems like they're paying a lot of money. But so what's their ROI? I think for them, they're really thinking about brand awareness and excitement, driving traffic and sales to their sites, and then obviously, like we just mentioned, tapping into this ever-growing and global market as well.
The second way a team makes money is through payouts. So every team gets about $36 million in prize money for simply being in the championship, which comes from revenue like TV rights and circuit sponsorships. And then the teams also get payouts for where they finish in the Constructors' Championship. So for winning the championship in 2021, Mercedes received $60 million, while Williams got just $13 million. So some other interesting one-off payments from last year. As a long-standing team, Ferrari got an additional $68 million, which is huge.
They literally just get extra. They literally just get money for being the oldest team, and they're always going to be the oldest team, so they're always going to get that money every year. It's kind of insane.
Wow. McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari got $35 million Constructors' Championship bonuses. Williams got a $10 million heritage payment, and then Red Bull got $36 million for being the first team to sign the Concord Agreement, and that is the contract between the FIA, the Formula One teams, and the Formula One group, which dictates the terms by which the teams compete in the race and how television revenues and prize money is shared. So when we've talked about an 11th team, if an 11th team wanted to join, the Concord Agreement would have to be revised, and all of this prize money would get diluted down. Thus, why we had Andretti marching around the Miami paddock unsuccessfully trying to get signatures from other teams.
Classic. The third way teams make money is through paid drivers. Instead of getting paid, these drivers, their contracts are tied to lucrative sponsorship deals, and they effectively pay for their own seats via these deals. So currently we have Lance Stroll, who is bankrolled by his dear father, Lawrence Stroll. Latifi gets his seat at Williams due to the money Lavazza Coffee and Safina Foods bring to the team. And even Lando's seat at McLaren was funded by his father at the beginning as well.
Wow, this makes me like Latifi more. I didn't know he had a big coffee connection.
Yeah. There is also the case of Nikita Mazepin, who was sponsored by Earl Colley, his father's company. But when Haas dumped them as a sponsor, Mazepin lost his seat.
Also, it was interesting, if you all remember back from kind of vintage Drive to Survive at the start, it covered when Ocon lost his, I think it was his Racing Point seat to Checo. He was complaining about how Checo had a Mexican billionaire backing him. So this definitely is kind of a repeat issue.
It's just interesting, though, because paid drivers are not new. They've been in Formula One and motorsports for a really long time. I think there's a lot of varied opinions on it, but I don't know. If people want to get in, the more the merrier is my opinion. So good for them.
True. And some of these teams really, really need the money. So they're definitely happy to take a driver who maybe wouldn't be their first choice if they're super desperate for money.
Exactly. So let's talk about some of the other business models that help boost teams' competitiveness and help bring in some more income. So let's talk about the supplier angle. This is for the automaker teams mostly. We talk about this a lot, but a lot of teams share the same engine supplies, with Ferrari, Mercedes leading on that front. So Ferrari and Mercedes obviously make some money by, having other teams drive cars with their engines. The other one is the technology transfer. So this is Ford versus Ferrari vibes, if anyone saw that movie. So again, this is for the automakers, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, McLaren, etc. For them, the Formula One team is a very powerful marketing tool for their regular road legal cars. So that's the first thing. And then they can also use some of the technology that they develop in F1 and execute it on those road legal sports cars as well. Lastly, the external technology transfer. We're getting very technical here. It feels like we're in a business school class. But over the years, some of the teams, Williams, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, have actually developed and sold tech to third parties for use outside of Formula One. So things like aerospace, materials engineering, IT, and communications. So I think that's really cool as well. And then lastly, probably a much smaller part of it, but a lot of teams have driver academies. So one, they create their own pipeline by running these training programs, but two, drivers have to pay to be in them as well. So that's a nice way they also supplement their income.
And with that, we are so excited for the race this weekend. We will catch you on the flip side for a recap. And thanks again for listening.